November 2004, the penultimate month. The penultimate month of 2004, the penultimate month for this three-ring binder. After next week, chances are you're never going to see this again. As far as what I was doing in November of 2004, just living my life, not knowing that soon, in just a few short months, I would be let go from Frame Art Galleries. They would be closing down the Westlake store, and I would have to find a new job. That's in the future. Right now, we're talking about November of 2004. And what did I read? Well, the first book I read in November of 2004 was Star Wars Republic Commando Hard Contact by Karen Travis. This is about the clone troopers. So this book, it's about Omega Squad, which is an elite group of clone trooper commandos, and particularly 4 clones. They do the tricky ops, and they are sent to this planet to take out something. A terrorist cell? Separatists? I don't remember the specifics now. One of them gets separated and meets up with a Jedi Padawan. And he thinks, hey, lucky me, I'm with a Jedi. And they're like, nah, I don't know anything. So that doesn't work well. But you're going to have the 4 clone troopers and the Jedi fighting a hostile wildlife as well as hostile people on this planet. Not a huge fan of Karen Travis's writing. I don't know if she's going to come up again. I do know that sometime after this, I went to read another one of the Republic Commando novels, and don't even know if I made it to the second chapter. So I just did not like her writing. She may come up. I can't remember if she was part of the 9-book series that I read. I guess we'll find out. But man, it's fine. Not my favorite era of Star Wars, but and Karen Travis definitely not my favorite author of Star Wars stuff. But it's Star Wars Republic Commando Hard Contact. There's a whole series of these. I think they're all written by Karen Travis, but not 100% sure. Can't say for sure. Followed that up with Wolverine Weapon X by Mark Saraceni. And this is a novelization of the Weapon X story by Barry Windsor Smith, the comic book. And it's just the story of how Logan, this drifter, criminal, violent drifter, is taken in by the Weapon X program, how he gets his adamantium, and everything that he goes through. So basically a Wolverine origin story. So Wolverine Weapon X, Mark Saraceni, it's fine. It's an interesting bit of history, how he went from being James Howlett, I believe is how you would say his name, and became, the character that everybody knows and loves. I actually do have this in an omnibus with 2 other Wolverine stories, but I didn't feel like digging it out. But Wolverine Weapon X, Mark Saraceni. All right, after that we have Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. This is book 1 of the Otherworld series, which 19, 20 some books. There's a ton of these books. But in this one, our main character is Elena Michaels, and she is the last female werewolf. And it's her job to hunt down bad werewolves, but she doesn't like it, so she decides she's going to leave the pack. She goes back to Toronto, I guess her hometown, and just wants to live as a human. Doesn't want to deal with werewolves, but her old pack leader comes to her saying he needs her help and she owes him. So she's like, all right, kind of that one last job and then leave me alone. So this is a world where there are werewolves and vampires and witches and all these other things. This one focuses on the werewolves, focuses on Ellen and Michaels. I really, really enjoyed this book. And as you'll see, if you keep watching these videos as we move along through time, one of the things I like about this particular series is that Kelly Armstrong doesn't keep the main character for every book. Now, Ellen and Michaels might be the main character in the second one, but after this 2 or 3 books, the next book in the series takes one of the minor characters, generally speaking, and it has been a while, so I may have some details off, but takes a minor character from one of the earlier books and makes them the main character. And then they'll be the main character for a book or two, and then another minor character from one of those becomes the main character. So I like how there's a progression, and so you're going to have werewolves as main characters in some, and witches as main characters in some, and other types of creatures as main characters in some. So I really like that. So we don't just have, it doesn't get stale. And this was made into a series on Sci-Fi. I didn't watch it. I didn't have Sci-Fi. I don't know how long it lasted. But yes, Bitten by Kelly Armstrong. Really, really enjoyed it. And there's a TV series based on it. Excuse me. I followed that up with The Disappeared by Christine Catherine Rush, or however you say her name. And this is a novel, a retrieval artist novel. It's the first one in a series, and this is a science fiction book where the Earth is allied with a bunch of different alien worlds, and part of that alliance is that alien laws apply to humans on alien planets. And so, our main character is Miles Flint, and he starts out as basically a cop, or maybe kind of a bounty hunter, who has to deal with these issues. So in this particular book, there's a space yacht where there's been a murder. He's dealing with that. There are two couple, I don't know how many kidnapped children. He's got to deal with that. And then there's a woman who's on the run because she doesn't want to face the consequences of a law that she broke on this alien planet. And so he's supposed to track her down, bring her back to face the consequences. She is trying to become one of the disappeared. But Miles has morality issues because his job is to follow the law, but he doesn't necessarily agree that, to take an example from Star Trek The Next Generation, he doesn't feel that if someone accidentally tramples some flowers on an alien planet, that they deserve the death penalty. But according to the Alliance, that's what we have to do. You're on the alien planet, you broke that law, you stepped on that plant, you get the death penalty. So his job is to enforce that. His moral side says, I can't. So he's conflicted. And this is going to be what leads into a whole series of retrieval artist books. Don't know that I ever read any of the other ones. We'll find out together. But if that sort of thing intrigues you, The Disappeared by Christine Catherine Rush. Then we have Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. This is the first book in the Hollows series. Another series that I believe was made into, I think this was made into a TV show. Not 100% sure. But anyway, this takes place in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our main character is Rachel Morgan, and she is basically a bounty hunter and a witch. This is a world where supernatural creatures live among humans. People know it. believe. So Rachel Morgan works for either Interland Services or Interland Runner Services, depending on where you look it up. And she's basically a bounty hunter for Interland Services. She wants out of her contract. They don't want to let her out of her contract, but she's going to leave anyway, and she's taking one of their best bounty hunters with them because their contract is up or something, and Interland Services doesn't want to let her go, so they basically put a price out on her head. I don't remember if they frame her for something, but they put a price out on her head, so she's got to figure out how to keep away from all these other bounty hunters that are after her, and she finds out, I think some politician is a drug dealer, and she thinks maybe if she can bring him in, that'll get Interland Services off her ass, and they'll let her go, and she can just go be a freelance bounty hunter with her friends. Again, can't remember if I read any other books in this series. You can see I was trying out all sorts of different stuff. I think this was still, I was going to the library, finding things at the library and just picking them up. And again, this is a series with 15 or 19 books, a whole bunch of books in the Hollows series. Dead Witch Walking by Kim Harrison. Then we have Coyote Blue by Christopher Moore. And this, our main character was Samson Hunts alone until, I think it said, a deadly interaction with law enforcement causes him to go on the run, leave the reservation, and now he is Samuel Hunter, a real estate agent in Santa Barbara, California, who living the good life, falls in love, but then Coyote, the trickster god, shows up and wants to pull Samuel Hunter back into the indigenous people's world of mysticism and magic and stuff, because Christopher Moore writes these supernatural type things. Little lighthearted comedy supernatural. But not one that really sticks out in my memory. It was probably fine. Christopher Moore has a nice, easy breezy writing style, very light stories. But again, I think 20 years. I was going to say, I think if it was really memorable, or, if I really, really enjoyed it or really, really disliked it, I'd have a more vivid memory of it. And I don't, which makes me think it's middle of the road. But it has been 20 years. Maybe I just don't remember. But that's Coyote Blue by Christopher Moore. After that, we have Murder by Magic, edited by Rosemary Edgehill. And this, much like last month's, or last week to you, last week's Powers of Detection, edited by Dana Stabenow, Murder by Magic, edited by Rosemary Edgehill, is an anthology of mystery and magic stories. So mysteries in a magical setting. And there's 20 stories, and some of the authors are James D. McDonald, Mercedes Lackey, Diane Duane. As with any anthology, decent ups and downs in the stories. I can't say every anthology has decent stories and bad stories. As with most anthologies, there's good stories, there's bad stories, or not so good stories. But a bunch of different settings for mystery that's going to involve magic in some way. So Murder by Magic, edited by Rosemary Edgehill. I do like this kind of thing. Which is why I read one this in November and back in October. 2 anthologies with the same kind of theme. All right, after that we have Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Apocalypse Memories by Laura J. Burns and Melinda Metz. This is a story that takes place after season 6, after Willow has been the big bad, but has reformed and come back to Sunnydale, and So Spike would have his soul, I suppose, and basically there's the usual Buffy the Vampire Slayer character drama going on, but then the Archangel Michael shows up to set off the apocalypse. And the good people see Michael as a beautiful angelic creature. Bad people see a horrific demonic type figure. Maybe everything isn't as it seems to be. Fun. I'm a big fan of anything that has Spike in it. Big fan of the character Spike. And this book actually looks at definitions of good and evil. Why do certain characters, I mean, Willow straight up murdered a dude and tried to end the world, but she still sees this beautiful angelic thing. Spike has his soul back. Yes, he did horrific things when he was a vampire. When he did not have a soul, he has his soul back. He's trying to redeem himself. He's trying to be a better person, or a better vampire at least. But he still sees the demonic creature. So what defines good in a person? What defines evil in a person? Where's the line? How does one cross it, one way or the other? So a little deeper, perhaps, than other Buffy the Vampire Slayer stories. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Apocalypse Memories, Laura J. Burns, and Melinda Metz. Pardon me. The penultimate book for November of 2004. The penultimate month for the year 2004 for this 3-ring binder. That book is Stardock by S.L. Vial, Viehl. This is a science fiction book. Our character is Dr. Cheriho Gray Vale. And Dr. Vale leaves Earth, goes to Caverzonga, I don't know how you say it, Caverzonga 2, to work at the free clinic. They go out to another planet to work at the free clinic. So this is a mix of like medical drama and science fiction. So she is a doctor, and she's going to be working on just all sorts of different alien life, while also dealing with the people she has to work with that she doesn't like, or they don't like her, and romantic interests and different things. First in a series, and I like this kind of stuff. I like mixing something like the TV show ER or Chicago Hope or St. Elsewhere, those medical dramas with science fiction. Again, a couple of months, no, just last month or last week, again, for you folks, I read the 2 MedStar books set in the Star Wars universe. It was like MASH, but in Star Wars and not a comedy. So I like this kind of thing. I don't remember if I read any more of these books, but this is one that I'm going to take a look at, like Half Price Books, see if they have any of these, and maybe reread it. Stardock, S.L. Vial. And then the final book that I read in November of 2004 was Angel, The Case Files, Volume 2 by Paul Raditis and Diana G. Gallagher. That's what it looks like I wrote down. This is basically an episode guide for seasons 3 and 4 of Angel. So you get a breakdown of all the episodes, the guest stars, the salient points, trivia, but there's also, it's filled with interviews, behind the scenes stuff, photographs. There's a little section of color photographs, just the typical episode guide type of stuff for those of us who enjoy reading those things. And this is Angel seasons 3 and 4, a decent season and a terrible season. Season 4 is terrible. But I like this kind of thing, reading the episode guides, reading behind the scenes stuff, interviews, all that stuff. I like it. Angel, The Case Files, Volume 2, Paul Reditis, however you say his name, Diana G. Gallagher. That's everything I read in November of 2004. Question for this video is, what does it take to get you to read the first book in a series? Do you just, if you see a brand new book that says first in a series, are you more likely to pick it up? Or if you come across a book that's first in a series, but you know there's 10 more books already out there, are you going to jump on it? What are you looking for? Do you not want to read a series at all? Maybe you ignore it. If it says first in a series, you're like, nope, not for me. Don't want to read a series. And what does it take to get you to read the rest of the books, or not read the rest of the books? I mean, generally, I suppose if you enjoyed it, you'll read the rest. If you didn't, you won't. But if there's anything specific, anything you're looking for me, I love a good series. I love character development. And I can say again, with this, I know I read a bunch. I have not read all of the Otherworld books by Kelly Armstrong, but I know I read a bunch of them. You're going to see that as we progress. But because I liked the writing, I liked the characters, I liked what she was doing. And again, I don't know that I read any more of the Kim Harrison, but I can say for sure Anita Blake, the Anita Blake books by Laura K. Hamilton, read that first one, sounded interesting. Never read another one. Did not like it. Didn't like her writing style. Didn't like the story. Didn't read any more. So for me, it's basically the same as with anything else. I'm looking for interesting characters, good writing, an entertaining story. There's tons of detective, private eye series. I can't read them all. I've tried plenty, but not all of them stick. The Robert Parker books, Spencer, love it. Elvis Cole by Robert Crace, great stuff. Michael Booker has got me to start reading the Easy Rollins books by Walter Mosley. Fantastic stuff. But I never got into John D. MacDonald. Tried it, couldn't get into it. I think I tried Matthew Scudder, who was Lawrence Block. Couldn't get into those. Yeesh. So, and then different series, other series. I don't know. I don't need to list every series that I've ever tried. But I like a good series. I don't know why. If they're all printed up nice, the same looking spine and everything, I think they look great on the shelf together. Again, I like that. I like a character who progresses through the years, not just a character arc in one novel, which is great when it's well done, but true growth over an entire series is fantastic. And it's like revisiting an old friend when you get that new book. Or, it's exciting if it's a series that's been out for a while and you're going to hunt them down. Ooh, I just found out about this series. I just read one of them, and I thought it was fantastic. Now I got to hunt them all down, and I want to read them in order and, again, see that growth. What about you? What are your thoughts on this sort of thing? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any... Wow, I'm just moving everything around. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I will have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. I finally got rid of Twitter. And that's all I've got. I was going to say this has been the Low Budget Review Show, but it has not. So, this has been Reading Remembrances. So that's all I've got for this week. So until next week, read more books.